all know that Real Madrid need a defensive revolution during this summer window. We have been shit over the last 9 months. And with all the injuries that we've had, it's time for the club to invest in the back line. They've neglected the defense for far too long. And this season, it caught up to us. Look at how awful we were defensively. There was one point in time where we couldn't keep a clean sheet to save our lives. We look so open when teams have set pieces. We don't know how to defend crosses. When the ball gets put into the box, the defense looks confused. If you look at Eder Militao, has torn his ACL again. David Alaba isn't getting any younger, and he can't stay fit to save his life. The injuries are starting to catch up with Antonio Rudiger. Danny Carvajal tore his ACL. Ferland Mendy has been injured. If it wasn't for Raul Asensio this season, we would have been starting Jesus Vallejo. People have to understand, the center back area of our team needs surgery. And we have to bring in reinforcements if we want to be able to stop what Hansi Flick and Barcelona got going on with Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Pedri, Dani Olmo. We saw how the El Clasicos went this season. We saw how we got embarrassed in the Champions League and got knocked out in the quarterfinals against Arsenal. We saw how in the second half of the season, we went 0 for 3 with the big trophies. So if we don't invest in our defense, next season is going to be a lot like this one. And I'm not trying to get a repeat of what we've just seen over the last 8 to 9 months. So Florentino Perez, this summer, you are on fraud watch. Because yes, Carlo Ancelotti was very bad. But we all realized that the investment that the squad needed wasn't there. And that's where we are all looking at Perez, and we're going to see what he does this summer window. We've now brought in Xabi Alonso. And if you want this guy to be successful, we're going to have to spend some money. Now, we have gotten a lot of reports from Tier 1 journalists that Real Madrid realized that they need defenders. And we have a 3-man shortlist of center back options that we're looking at for this summer window. Now, I need you guys to get in that comment section and let me know, which center back do you think Real Madrid should go out there and bring in this summer? We're going to talk about all 3. We're going to look at some reports from Fabrizio Romano and from some other sources as well. And then I'll tell you guys which center back I want the most and how likely I think each deal would take place. But get in that comment section, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications. Let's get it. Surgery. So Fabrizio Romano put out this tweet, and he said that Real Madrid have Dean Huijsen, William Saliba, and Konate on their short list for new center backs. Huijsen has a £50 million release clause, and he's keen on joining Real Madrid, waiting for the club to move while Chelsea and Liverpool keep pushing. Saliba, dream target for present/future, but currently considered too expensive. Now, let's break down the 3 names that were listed here. So, I want to start off with Konate, because out of these 3 options, he's the one that I want the least. Now, I do rate Konate. I think he is a very good center back, right? Look at what he's done with Liverpool this season, helping them win the Premier League. His partnership next to Van Dijk is phenomenal. And I think he is a good player, but I don't see us making a bid for him this summer. I think out of all three of these center backs, he would be the second likeliest to join because of his contract situation. His deal runs out in 2026. And I think a lot of people are going to see what Liverpool do with this player, because I highly doubt that they're going to want a repeat of the Trent situation. If Konate is not trying to sign a new deal this summer, Liverpool have to force him out of the club. You cannot lose an asset like him for free. So if it does come down to that, we know that when a player has a year on their contract, they go for almost half the price than what they really are worth. So I can see a scenario where this summer window, Real Madrid make a bid. But I think the club would rather wait for him to become a free agent before going in for him. But Liverpool are going to have to get this guy to sign a new deal as soon as possible. And personally, I think he stays. I know that there was a lot of doubt with Van Dijk and Mo Salah. Those two have ended up signing a new contract. And I think because Van Dijk is staying, I can't see Konate not buying into whatever project Liverpool have going on. Arne Slot has come in, won the Premier League in his first season, and you would think Liverpool are going to have a very busy summer window. But as far as their players are concerned, you cannot allow these guys to run down their contract. It's bad business. It's incompetence that he even has a year left on his deal. Like, I don't know who's in charge of getting these deals sorted out for Liverpool, but the fact that Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent were so close to leaving on freeze, even though we know Trent's going, but Van Dijk and Salah stayed, that to me is unacceptable. When you see how other clubs operate, I remember last summer when Conor Gallagher wasn't trying to sign a new deal, and when it looked like he might just try and run it down and leave for free. Chelsea, they banished him from the first team. They forced him out to get a fee. This is how clubs have to operate. Legally, if a player doesn't want to go anywhere, if a player wants to run down his contract, he can. But clubs can do things to make the players leave. It's a World Cup year coming up as well. These players are going to all want to be a part of that. I would tell Konate, if you're not trying to sign a new contract, you are not going to play for Liverpool again. You will be benched the entire year. We will have you training with the under fives. I would have this guy babysitting for the last year of his deal. And then I would go sign another center back to replace him this summer. So let's see what happens. I think if they do put him up for sale, if he's not trying to extend his contract, I can definitely see Real Madrid making a bid this summer. But out of the three, like I said, personally, good center back, but I don't really want Konate. If we can get him on a free, I would take it. He's very strong, right? Good in the air. But I feel like him next to Van Dijk is what makes him shine a little bit. But like I said, good player. Would definitely take him at Real Madrid. But out of these three options, not the one that I would necessarily go for. Now, the second player that I want to talk about, and this would be my dream signing for this summer, is William Saliba. He, in my opinion, is the marquee signing that I would love for Real Madrid to go in for. Now, the thing is, out of the defenders that were named of our shortlist, he would be the hardest to get done. Saliba's at Arsenal. They're trying to compete. They're trying to win. He's established himself as one of the best center backs in the world. If you want to bring in Saliba, more than likely, you're going to have to break the record for a defender being transferred. Like, he would cost you close to 100 million. And we know that Madrid at the moment, they're not trying to spend the bread like that. Again, I think this is the signing that we should be making right now. But Arsenal are going to play hard. I think Saliba would have to ask for the transfer to happen. And I know that they're opening talks with him over a new contract. So we got to keep an eye on that. But I think Real Madrid should be putting in a bid. Give him something to think about. I think it'd be crazy to wait and see how contract talks go. Because if Saliba ends up extending his contract at Arsenal, then we can kiss a Saliba signing goodbye. This would be the summer to do it. The guy only has 2 years left on his deal. If you drop $100 million on the table for Saliba right now, I guarantee you that he asks Arsenal to let him leave. But you have to put a respectable bid. For me, Saliba's the guy. I know that this season he's been pretty mid though. I'm gonna be real. Like, he's not been the level that we all expected, right? We've seen over the last few months, he's made a lot of bonehead mistakes that's cost Arsenal goals. But when you look at the potential, when you look at the profile of center back that he is, he checks off all the boxes. He is a Rolls Royce defender. He's the player. He's the kind of guy that I think can lead Real Madrid's defense for the next 10 years. I know that some people might think he's overrated, but for me, he's a baller. I don't really see that many weaknesses in his game. Now, yes, since Gabriel Magalhaes gotten injured, he hasn't looked as good, right? Gabriel Magalhaes is probably Arsenal's best defender. He's been playing like that since the World Cup, at least. But I think Saliba's potential is a lot higher than his. And if you bring in Saliba, and then if you have him next to Rudiger, and I know that Rudiger has fallen off this season, but that's because he was playing with an injury, and I think just it's been a down season. But I think if you put Saliba next to Rudiger, that would be a very good center-back partnership. But out of the three that have been named, Saliba is the most unlikely because Arsenal don't necessarily have to sell right now, and they're going to want a lot of money. But I think Saliba should be forcing that move. You guys saw that Liverpool banner that got put up. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Second place once again. Trophyless once again. Saliba don't deserve that. I know that he wants to play with Mbappe, Camavinga, Chouameni, Ferland Mendy. Come on, your French brothers are there. I told you when we drew Arsenal in the quarterfinals, I wanted to use that as a recruitment process. Saliba was in Madrid. He's played at the Bernabéu. He's seen the facilities. I know that he was super impressed by that. I know that his agent and him have definitely talked about him being at Real Madrid. That is one to keep an eye on because I know the club 100% want him. But I just think it would be the hardest deal to get done. But he is the player that I do want the most as a defensive signing. Now, the guy that I think is most likely, and out of all three of these options, he's the player that I want second, right? He's the guy that I want right behind Saliba, is Dean Huijsen. This is who I think Real Madrid end up signing. Because getting him would be a lot easier than getting Konate and getting Saliba. He has a release clause, £50 million. Real Madrid don't even have to negotiate with Bournemouth. We activate that release clause, and he's our player. It's as simple as that. And I think he fits the profile of what the club are looking for. 19 years old. He's had a very good season with Bournemouth in the Premier League. Made his debut for the Spanish national team. Played very well in those 2 Nations League matches when Kubarsi got injured. I think he's good on the ball. He's an aerial threat, right? I think he's been a big reason why Bournemouth has been so good in the Premier League this season, right? Bournemouth have surprised a lot of people. He's been a key piece for them. And I would take him at Real Madrid. And I think, if you want to follow all the reports, he wants to come to the club. A lot of teams are in for him. Fabrizio Romano has name-dropped Chelsea. He's dropped Liverpool. A lot of other reports are saying Arsenal are in the race. And everything is saying that he wants us. Right? Like, look at this. Dean Huijsen wants Real Madrid and have kept other clubs on hold. The next few days will be important to know about his destination, which is pointing more strongly than ever to Real Madrid. Now, unlike Konate and Saliba, I don't think that Dean Huijsen would come in and start for us right away. I don't view him as a starter for Real Madrid from match day 1, unless there's injuries. I don't think that he's better than Rudiger. I don't think that he's better than Raul Asensio, who should be higher in the pecking order. I view Dean Huijsen as a player that next season comes in and he's being rotated, right? He's starting some games, but more times than not, he's on the bench. He's learning from a Rudiger. He's learning from a Raul Asensio, right? I don't think that one good season at Bournemouth means that you need to just be a locked-on starter at Real Madrid. But with Xabi Alonso coming in, who knows what formation we'll end up playing? If it's a back three, then maybe Dean Huijsen does start for us right away. And again, he wants this deal. We cannot have a Lenny Yoro situation where we're lowballing the offer and then another team comes in for him and then we miss out on another promising defender. Fabrizio Romano has also dropped this. He said, more on Dean Huijsen. Real Madrid know the player dreams of the move as internal talks are taking place with Xabi Alonso on new center back. Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal are ready to trigger 50 million release clause, getting deal done this month, trying to agree with the players' camp. The race is open. If we do not sign this player, it's because we have decided that he's just not who we want. And I highly refuse to believe that. You got to look at it. David Alaba, injury prone, not getting any younger. He needs to be forced out the club. Militao tore both his ACLs in back-to-back seasons, right? He's not going to be the same player. He needs to be forced out the club. Vallejo's contract expires. Lucas Vazquez's contract is expiring. That's two defenders that are not going to be here. We got Trent coming in. Now we need to go add a center back. I think Dean Huijsen, he checks off all the boxes. Now, some of the clubs that are interested in him, it's not like he would go there and start for them either, right? Like, he's not going to start at Liverpool. Liverpool have Konate and Van Dijk. He's not going to start at Arsenal. They have Gabriel Magalhaes, and they also have William Saliba. So the only team that's really been name dropped that he would walk into their 11 is Chelsea. So I think it just depends on what does Dean Huijsen want. Does he want to be a guaranteed starter? Because then Chelsea makes the most sense. But if he's willing to be a rotational piece in his first season, I think, come on now, it makes sense for him to come to us. Also, who's to say that he doesn't end up starting over an Asensio? Maybe even over a Rudiger, depending on how he recovers from his injury. Now, DeMarzo, who is a big journalist as well, he said that Barcelona have also contacted Dean Huijsen and they have presented him their project alongside, again, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea. But the player's favorite destination is Real Madrid. I think this is the guy. This is who Real Madrid bring in this summer. This is who I have the most confidence in for the club to buy. Activate the release clause. We already got the reports that you only have to pay 25 million of it this summer. You can pay the rest in 3 installments. So it's not going to even cost us all that money at one time. This should be an obvious transfer. But we have to see what the club do. I do want Dean Huijsen. Now, personally, right, I would like Dean Huijsen and Saliba. But this is not FIFA. I know that it's not going to happen. So go get me Dean Huijsen this summer. Let's keep our eye on Saliba. Let's keep our eye on Konate. But get in the comment section and let me know what you guys are saying about these 3 players. Which one do you want Real Madrid to bring in?